is a story from Light Bearers, where we learn how to be the best Muslims. Once upon a time, in a small village surrounded by tall trees and colorful flowers, there lived a kind-hearted young boy named Sammy. He had a loving family and a group of close friends. Every day after school, Sammy would run to the park near his house, where he and his friends would spend hours playing and having fun together. They would swing high up in the sky, slide down the slides and laugh and joke around all day long. But recently, Sammy hadn't been feeling like playing. One afternoon when Sammy was sitting alone on a bench in the park, watching the other children play, he suddenly heard a faint whisper in his ear. The whisper was sneaky and sly, and it said, "Why are you sitting here, Sammy? Come on, let's go find some trouble." Sammy stopped and looked around to see if anyone was there, but he didn't see anyone. He thought he might be hearing things, so he shook his head and tried to focus on the birds singing in the trees. Just then, the whisper came again. This time it said, "Take this toy for yourself. Don't give it to your friend." Sammy looked down and saw a shiny red toy truck on the bench next to him. He picked it up and stared at it. He knew that the toy belonged to one of his friends, Hassan, who had left it there while he went to get a drink of water. But just as Sammy was about to return the toy to Hassan, the whisper came again. It said, "Keep the toy for yourself. You can have it all." Sammy felt torn. He didn't want to hurt his friend Hassan, but the whisper was getting louder and more insistent, and it was starting to make Sammy feel angry and upset. He threw the toy on the ground and started crying. When Hassan came back and saw the toy on the ground, he asked, "What happened, Sammy? Why are you sad?" Sammy sniffed and whispered, "I don't know. There's a voice inside my head telling me to do bad things." Hassan and the other children were confused. They had never heard of such a thing happening before, so they decided to leave Sammy alone and let him calm down. But Sammy couldn't stop crying. He stayed on the bench for a long time, wishing that someone could help him. As the sun began to set, Sammy decided to go home and tell his parents about what had happened. On the way home, he walked past the house of his grandfather, who was a wise and respected man in the community. Sammy stopped and knocked on the door. His grandfather opened the door and saw Sammy's tear-stained face. He invited Sammy inside and asked him to tell him what was wrong. Sammy poured his heart out to his grandfather, telling him about the whispers he had heard and how they were making him feel. His grandfather listened patiently, and when Sammy finished talking, he gave him a warm hug. Then he led Sammy into the living room and sat him down on a comfortable chair. "You know, Sammy," his grandfather began, "I think I know what's happening to you. You've been hearing the whispers of Shaytan, the accursed." Sammy's eyes widened in surprise. "The whispers of Shaytan," he repeated. "What are those?" His grandfather explained. "Shaytan is a fallen angel who tries to lead people away from goodness. When he sees someone who is kind and helpful, like you, Sammy, he tries to whisper bad ideas into that person's ear, hoping that they will do something wrong. These whispers can make you feel angry, upset, or confused, and they can make you do things that you wouldn't normally do." Sammy nodded slowly, realizing that this must be why he had been acting so strangely. He had felt angry and upset when the whispers had told him to take Hassan's toy, and he had cried because he knew that he shouldn't listen to them. His grandfather continued, But don't worry, Sammy. You don't have to listen to these whispers. Allah has given you the ability to choose between right and wrong. And when you choose what is good, Shaytan gets very angry and his whispers become even more evil. Sammy felt a surge of confidence. He realized that he wasn't powerless against these whispers. He could choose to ignore them and stick to what was right. His grandfather then reached out and took Sammy's hand. Whenever you hear the whispers of Shaytan, he said, you should recite Surat al-Baqarah, especially Ayat al-Kursi. This ayah has a power to drive away the whispers of Shaytan and bring you peace. Sammy repeated the ayat. Al-Kursi, Allah al-Kursi, Allah es Salam, Malik al-Mutawakkil. I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed. His grandfather smiled. That's right, Sammy. This ayah is a powerful shield against the whispers of Shaytan. It reminds us that Allah is the most merciful and compassionate, and He will help us overcome any challenges we may face. After reciting the ayat, Sammy felt a sense of calm wash over him. He thanked his grandfather for helping him and promised to recite Surat al-Baqarah whenever he heard the whispers again. From that day on, Sammy became even kinder and more helpful than before. He used his newfound strength to resist the whispers of Shaytan and to spread goodness wherever he went. Whenever he felt the darkness of Shaytan's whispers creeping into his heart, he recited Surat al-Baqarah, and the light of Allah's words drove away the evil thoughts. Sammy became known throughout the village as a beacon of light, someone who never gave up hope or lost faith in Allah. And so, dear brothers and sisters, just like Sammy, we too may face challenges and hear the whispers of Shaytan telling us to give up. But we must remember that Allah is always with us, and He has given us the ability to choose between right and wrong. When we face difficult times, we must turn to Allah for help and recite His words, which have the power to drive away the darkness and bring us peace. May Allah bless you all and grant you the strength to resist the whispers of Shaytan and the courage to follow the path of righteousness. Ameen.